Alrighty, we're back. And we are going to be going through demo time. This is going to be setting up the charts, taking the trade, and post-trade procedures. And again, we are going to also be talking about where you find news, how to sync your news to your VPS clock or your home clock, whichever you're using for your demo period. So that's really important so that you have news in there correctly. Hopefully then we will stop and we will move on to the second part, which is going to be setting up multiple charts of the same pair. So if you, let's say for instance, you have a Euro USD news release at 2, 3, and 4, we're going to show you how to set up for those so that all three charts fire off and you don't have any issues, which was a bit of a workaround that we had to do. So this is going to be, if you've watched the original series, this is going to be all totally new information on how to set this up. Well, this initial setup isn't, but the second part of this video is going to be completely new information. I am going to go a little more detail right now about how I'm using Forex Factory for your news and how to sync it up with your clock, but because I don't think I covered that adequately. Alright, so first, where do we find news from? Forex Factory. It's the one I highly recommend the most. Some of the other ones will give you different ratings on news, like this orange might be red on another website. But we're also going to talk about, and don't let me forget, is we're going to talk about which news items we trade and which ones we don't. We're going to go through this entire week so that we can see which ones we trade, which ones we don't. But first, let's get in. The first thing I would do, you can see I'm already logged in. I would register for an account and log in so that every time you come to the website, you're logged in. Why? Because if we see it's 7:56 a.m. here and 9:31 a.m. That's how long I've been having it. So if I refresh the page, it's 9:31 a.m., 9:32. So it's within a minute or two. It's not going to be perfect, but it's probably a little bit slow because I am syncing time. But we want this time and this time to match. Or in this case, here's 9:31 a.m., but let's look at our VPS. It is 17:21 there. So let's fix that. We want things to match, correct? I hope. Well, it doesn't matter our broker time, actually. I'm sorry, I went to the wrong screen. I'm sorry, my server time is 10:32 a.m., so it's an hour ahead of what I currently am. So let's say I want Forex Factory to match. We don't give a shit about server time right now. So let me repeat that. We do not give two shits about server time right now. All we care about is computer time, 9:32. But on the VPS where I'll be running everything, it's 10:32. Some people have gotten a little bit confused about this. So all we're going to care about is the 10:32 VPS time because that's where the server is sitting, and we're going to be using the server's time to set up our trades. So how do we fix that? Just click on the time. And we want, right now it's on Central Time, which is where I am, but I want it to be Eastern. I had to go through and change all this. Eastern Time. Now, we're good, but the other thing is the time format is in 24 hours, so we want to be in 24-hour time format. This will help you all out a little bit if, and let's turn daylight savings times on. So this is everything for an American setup on the East Coast. Save settings, and simply just click Forex Factory, the words, and we go back. Now what do we look at? It's 11. It says 11:33. What the hell? I think that daylight savings time. Don't mess with daylight savings time. Sorry. Okay, so let's go back real quick and fix that. So if you screw up, just click the time. God, I'm messing up today. Save settings. Click Forex Factory. Now we are 10:34. 10:34. Now our Forex Factory and our VPS are synced up so we can set up for trades. And if you also notice, since you have to use military time in the Expert Advisor, we have military time here, so it's telling you exactly what to put in. So that covers time and where you're going to get your news for. Now what are we going to be trading? We only trade red items. But which red items do we trade? We only trade during the London session and the US session. So if you're confused on which session we're in, if we scroll down to the bottom of Forex Factory, it says sessions. Now, you can actually, I thought we could move it. Well, we could do this. We can close this. We don't need this either. I like these news things, so I'll leave them there, but you can move things around a little bit. So if we go here, let's say I want to see my sessions. I'm not confused by sessions, so I don't think this would be a big thing, but it does have an up arrow, so we could move things up and down. I thought you could drag and drop. I forgot it's an arrow. So you can move these blocks around to however you want them, but the default setup's good. Just scroll to the bottom. It'll tell you London sessions open, New York sessions open. So we only take red trades based off of majors in the US and London session. So this China news, would we trade it? No. Reason not is the spread gets out of control outside of the two sessions. We'll go ahead and look at the next day. So the next day we got GBP CPI at 4:30 in the morning. This is a definite trade. We want to go ahead and do that. Although if you're in the group, I'm advising people not to trade GBP right now due to Brexit. And not that it's being voted on, due to they can't make up their damn minds. But that's why it's important to be in the group, communicate in Slack, and I put out information about, yes, let's trade this, no, let's not trade this. So tomorrow we only have one trade. Moving along. Wednesday, we got bunches of stuff on there, but let's take a look at what we're actually going to be trading. So the first one, GBP 430. In case anyone's watching this today and you'd get this tomorrow, yes, but demo trade it, in my opinion. So this is a trade, but it is a demo trade. Moving along, we got another one. This is a speech. They typically don't move, but we could straddle it just for the hell of it. Now moving on, we got 830. Green will be live trades. This is a live trade. It's USD. Now for this, I'd recommend setting up on Euro USD and USDJPY and letting it run on both of them. Moving down, we have another one, crude oil inventories is a yes. And then we have FOMC economic projections, FOMC statement, federal funds rate, and this is a straddle. You see it's in military time for me, so I know exactly what to punch into the EA. We have another press conference, and we could straddle it just the hell of it to be safe. Straddle anything red during the US and London session. If you have a question on which pairs to straddle, please hit me up. For instance, this trade right here, crude oil inventories. This would be a USD CAD trade only. There are some people who found brokers that have oil. Just make sure you're using the right one. There's two different oils out there. Alright, so now let's come down to the bottom here. We have a demo trade only. Why is this a demo trade only? One, it's AUD USD, and it's no longer in the US session. The spread is probably going to get too high for this, but it's a good learning tool. You can use it as a learning tool during your demo period to see why you don't trade this, because some people didn't believe me on these and they traded them and they got their asses handed to them. If the spread gets too large, you'll see trades pop prematurely during those 4 seconds before the trades. You'll start seeing trades pop. If the spread's too large, also when a trade kicks open, even if it runs up about 10 pips and you have a 15 pip spread, you're still going to take a loss. So we don't want to trade when the spread's going to be out of control and wild. Hopefully that solves that. Thursday. I'm going through the whole week so you have examples. 3:30 in the morning, CHF, USD CHF. I personally would demo this one. I would not trade it live. The USD CHF spread for FXCM is a little bit high. It's about in the same range with US CAD. So I will demo this one to see, but I am not going to trade it live. Moving on, GBP, retail sales. Again, normally this would be a live trade, but because of Brexit, I would demo it. But it is a tradable one because it's in the London US session. Moving on, more GBP. Hopefully version 7 comes through, and even with Brexit, we can pull some money out of these, but I'm going to be doing them demo. Moving on to 8 o'clock. Now we get into 8:30, I'm sorry. We have CAD and USD, so we could trade Euro USD, USDJPY, and USD CAD on all three of these. On this one, all three pairs will go up. We'll probably use this one as our setup example. And then, again, 11:15, CAD, it's a speech. Straddle it for the hell of it. Not expecting too much out of it. Taking a look at Friday. We only have one. Building permits may or may not move, depending if that number moves. But it is tradable. Euro USD, USDJPY. Everything else I'd leave alone. Alright, so let's go back to... So for 8:30 in the morning on the December 15th, we have a trade. So let's pretend it's December 14th, it's in the evening, and I want to set up for this. I want to set up the whole day, or this is the simple setup, so let's just go with that. 8:30, December 15th, I'm going to go ahead and set up for those trades. So let's jump to it. Blank MT4. First one we're going to set up is, this is a USD trade, so we're going to do new chart, USDJPY, make it big. Let me move these, I don't like them down there. I'm just dragging and dropping these to move. Okay, so we're going to go to M1 first. Step 1, always go to a 1-minute chart. Right click, go to template, and we're going to do build news. Wait for it to load. It'll tell you what to load up. USDJPY 79. File, open offline. We're going to look for USDJPY 79, which is right there. Click open. Right click it, go to template, and we're going to do Renko news, because it's Renko chart with a news running on it. We're going to hit F7. Load your default news profile that you should have set up in the previous video. This is Forex.com, so I'm actually going to drop this to 60. FXCM, I would say starting off at 60 is a good point. Points gap 2000, modify gap 1, TP 3000. Stop loss, max loss 0. The year is 2016. The date was what? The 15th. The hour was 8 in the morning, 30. Everything else stays the same. Stage 1, 60. Stage 2, 4. Scroll down. Your trade size is here. And we'll get into that later about what trade size to use. We'll pretend this is demo or your first month live, so it's 0.01. Max spread 0. Add to spread false. Slip check false. Max slippage false. Allow buys true. Allow sells true. Use broker time false. Again, use broker time false. Delete on shutdown true. Now the trade log here, I just have it named news. We'll get into trade logs after this. MA trailing stop is false, and everything else is there is good. So I'm going to go ahead and do save, because it's my default news, and I did have a change. Now it is saved, and we hit OK. Now it's going to watch what it's going to do. It's a little bit slow because this is on the Amazon VPS. Now what are things we want to check? Do we have a happy face up here? Yes. Wow, it's taking forever on this one. Not sure why. There it goes. Okay, now since I scheduled this ahead of time, what it did is it looked to try and find news. I'm guessing that's what was taking it along. It says expert is disabled. Please enter next news event. Reason being is because I scheduled this so far ahead of time. But you just want to confirm news time. December 6, 2016, December 15th at 8:30 in the morning. So is that correct? I don't know. Let's go double check. December 15th, 8:30 in the morning, and we're set up correctly. So double, triple check. Like I've been saying, the biggest errors I see are people not double checking their data entry work and screwing it up. So let's open up the next pair. We're going to also trade Euro USD for this one. So new chart, Euro USD. What's our first step? M1. Right click, template, build news. Wait for it. File, open offline. Euro USD. Sorry. M79. M79. We're matched. Open. Here's our Renko. Template. Renko news. Now since we set up the first one, all we have to do is do load. And you see I have times in here, 7:45, 10. You can actually name these with news. I'm going to load up default news set, and I'll show you how to do that. But it's correct now. So what I want to do is say, well, I don't want to type in the time every time, so I can just type in 7:30. Now the date will need to be corrected, but everything else will be the same. So now I have a 7:30 preset out there for me, and we hit OK. Let's move along. Next one, again, do not worry about this. It's because it's the news events the next day. If you're not scheduling for a news event the same day, you will not see everything. So File, New Chart, and we were going to do US CAD. First step, 1 minute it. Next step, template it. Next step, open offline. And we're doing US CAD. M79, you can check there, hit open, right click, template, Renko News, F7, load. We just created that 730 set, hit open, and always what I say is double check your settings. I don't care if it's a template or not. Go through, double check, hit OK. Now what are we looking for next? We have smiley faces. Smiley face, smiley face, smiley face. If we do not have a smiley face, what do we have to check? Let's go to common, make sure it looks exactly like this. Still don't have a smiley face? Well, maybe the auto trading button needs to be clicked. It could be red. We got an unhappy face. This bitch ain't cooking. Auto trading's on, and we are cooking. Alright, so let's say next step. I'm going to open up, this is an older spreadsheet, but it works just fine. Older meaning it's not updated. But I want to be able to show how to add tabs in. It's going to be a little bit different for everyone, but it should be somewhere along these lines. So this is September, October. We're missing November, December. So let's say you need to create December. What you're going to do is right click and move or copy. We're going to create a copy. It's going to be along this lines with any version of Excel you have. And we'll hit OK. Now see how it says September 2016 2. I'm just going to drag it and move it over here. I'm going to right click it. I'm going to do rename. And I'm going to do DECEMBER. Now what we're looking at here is your Bible. This is everything you need. Now what I typically do is for a new month, I leave a couple lines at the top as an example. Come down, do this, and delete. It leaves it all blank, which is fine. That's all we need. Okay. So we're sitting around, we're waiting on news. So what do we need to fill out now? Well, let's look at Forex Factory. And so the news is at what? December 15th, 8:30. So let's go over to our spreadsheet, and we're going to put in, and I cannot type for shit, 12/15/2016. We're going to be doing USDJPY. Oh, currency's affected. I'm sorry. Currency's affected. We get that from here. We have CAD being affected and USD, so we can put USD CAD in there. So USD CAD. Pairs traded. I'm going to be doing USD JPY, EUR USD, and USD CAD. Okay, now this is a big jumble of shit trades, but we could kind of cheat here. The CAD one, we're going here. So let's put it under USD CAD just for the hell of it. And you don't have to put them all, but it will help the more information you have here. And next up we got what? See, for me, I'm going to put core CPI. And we'll go back and we're going to grab the Philly and unemployment. If you don't know how to use Excel, guys, I mean, I can help you, but oops. There we go. Philly Fed. See, and let's see, we needed to insert. We need one more. And now what I would do typically here, since this is just a big jumble of them, you could highlight it and then, I don't know, just do a fill so that you know that this all three pairs here, we're all on this pair. And what's our last one we need? Unemployment claims. It's going to be 0.830. If I could type right. Jesus, man. 0.830. My God, I don't know how to type. And we can get rid of this because we don't know this information yet. We can get rid of this because we don't know it yet either. So now we're set up and ready to go for after the trade. So we go to our handy dandy notebook. Now I'm going to show this on a VPS because your VPS does not have Excel on it, and we don't want to put Excel on your VPS. Trade's gone. We don't know. We'll take a look at results. Now there aren't going to be any results here, but we take this, we drag it on, and we hit OK, and it would typically show your results here. That will have to, I'll go through in a later video with it towards the end of this series. That's your first step. Next, we need to look at the information for your spreadsheet. So we're going to do File, Open Data Folder. We go MQL4, and we go to Files. Now what we're looking for is there's two different files. If you keep these clean, you don't have to do anything. But let's see, we're going to be looking at the CSV ones are the one that have your spread in it. So if you do type, it'll line it up. Text documents is different information. We're going to go over the CSV file first. So here's Euro USD. Now all I'm going to do is not that. I'm going to right click it and do copy. I'm going to minimize. And I am going to minimize and minimize and minimize some more shit. Right click. And paste. Okay, so now we have it. So let's open it up. Let me answer a question, tweaks, etc. So we have our spreadsheet. This is where you're going to be getting all your information. So what I typically do is I drag it to the left, and I find my other spreadsheet and drag it to the right. Now what we're looking for is news was at 13:18, I guess. Now remember, this is where the server time comes in, so you're going to have to go back to the server and look at the time the news occurred. That's why we drag. Here, where's USDJPY? Let me open that up so you can see what it looks like. File, File, new chart. Ignore what I'm doing here. I'm just going to show you something on what that script looks like. Template. That's the wrong. But that's the right one. So File. I don't want y'all to have to guess what we're supposed to be seeing, so. Alright, good. So here we are. Ignore what's on the screen. I'm just going to show you what that script does that we drag because it's kind of important. Script. We drag it on the chart and hit OK. And it's going to show trades on the chart. Like here was a trade right here. And here was a trade here. So this will tell us it was plus 4.4 pips, blah, blah, blah. That's what you're going to see on this screen when you drag it over. I would watch chapter 2 on. Okay, so that would, we'll just pretend this is what the script would show on here, so that way you can see your information for pips gained or loss, and I'll get into that here in a second, because I made sure I had both a gain and a loss on here for you. Okay, so, but first, let's get back to our spreadsheet. Now on the spreadsheet, what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to find news. It hit at 1318, which we confirmed that by looking on here. This, we'll pretend this is our server. We could see by just holding the mouse down when the trade occurred. Down at the bottom, you see it says 1348. That's when that trade occurred. This trade occurred at 1545. So it'll tell you the time to look for in that spreadsheet. So we're going to pretend 1318. So what I do is 1317, about 10 seconds out. And here we are, 10 seconds out. We're going to start looking at spread, seeing, and the spread before the trade doesn't really matter too much, but we want to get an idea if it was going crazy or not. So we scroll down, and now this isn't news, so the ticks are going to be kind of thin and sparse. But 1757 spread was at 2.1, so this is when the trade hit, 1318. Spread was at 2.1, 2.1, 2.0, 2.1, 2.1. And let's just say then we get 6. So what we want to do is go over here to our handy dandy spreadsheet, and this is, if we look, it's US CAD. We'd come to US CAD and we'd put in 6. Now if it's 6.2, you can just type in 6.2. Put in the max spread. Slippage we're not even worried about right now. We'll get into that later. And that's what you're going to do with each spreadsheet. If you need to see how to do it, remember I copied this off the VPS to my desktop. So what's our next step? Our next step is pips earned. So how do we get that? We would go back. Now we had the handy dandy script. It put it on there. So it says we had a sell. It's 4.4 pips. The lot size was 0.05 and our net was 1.9. So 4.4, 0.5, 1.9. So we come back to here. So pips earned was 4.4, lots was 0.5, and profit was 190. Special comments, we could say slow and link to trade. Now how do we get the link to the trade? Go to here, right click. Now this is where it's going to be a bitch with the VPS. And let's show you. So right click, you're going to have to do this one time and it's super fucking annoying. Save as picture, make sure it's like this and like this. As soon as you hit it, you're going to start getting a bunch of crap that comes up like this. I personally would just hit add, close, until you can click up here and get this. You'll have to do it one time, so this is going to be, see, it's Google Analytics that it's flagging. And then close, and this one's mc.yandex.russia. Now it's eventually going to get to this point after, and you'll probably have to hit add about 20 times. I'm not going to show you how to enable web browsing on your server because you'll fuck it up. I don't mean that in a rude way, I mean it. Okay, so next what we want is we want to be able to click here, do Control C, minimize, go back to our handy spreadsheet, click here, and do Control V. There is the chart. Now if we ever need to look at it in the future, all you'd have to do is put that link in here, and when you hit enter, there it is. So we have a complete record of everything we needed for the trade. If you need to repeat how I did that, just rewind the video. I showed how to create the December spreadsheet. I didn't put 2016 on it, but I went through everything for you guys. So that is the basic setup of how to trade multiple pairs. Now, for each pair, you'd go through and do it. So let's look at that log file. How do we find USDJPY trade? Well, we come over here. Let's close this. File, Open Data Folder, MQL4, and Files. Now we're going to look. You can click by name if you want. We're looking for a CVS file, USDJPY. So right click, copy, minimize, 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 right click, paste, and there it is, ticks UJ, and we can get in there and get the data we need out of that. Now what else goes on in that folder? We have something called text document. So here's the USDJPY. Let's open it up. It says EA shut down. Basically nothing happened. Let's take a look at another one. This is the full run. That was probably when I opened it and closed it. It's going to say this is everything it does. It opens the buy stops beforehand, see 1729.03, at about, then it shows modifying it, and then it says deleting because wait after expired, which means no trade occurred. This is information that I can use sometimes. If you have issues, you can just send it to me. You don't have to focus too much in on these. So that basically covers the basics of setting up several pairs for one news release. We're going to take a break, come back, and then we're going to show up how to set up one pair for several news releases during the day. For instance, we're going to do, say, GBP USD with 3 news releases in the same day. This one is definitely a must-watch for even the old people. It is a completely different setup. There is nothing the same about this setup. So I highly recommend watching it. Alright, if there are questions, please hit me up. I'll answer them at the beginning of the next video, and I'll see you there in about 5-10 minutes.